To configure a router on a stick, you need two parts. You need the switch aspect and the router aspect. Let's look at what the switch has to do. The switch has to have the VLANs defined. We would have done that before. And then it has to have a trunk link going up to the router. It has to have that trunk link to carry multiple VLANs across a single physical path. So we're trying to carry VLANs 10 and 20 and get those routed. We've also changed the native VLAN to VLAN 99. That's a consistency theme and looks good. Turn it on. Don't rely on auto negotiation here because you're talking to a router. You're not talking to a switch. And so you wouldn't want to do something like dynamic desirable or dynamic auto. And I've seen this also with adaptive security appliances. So the same configuration would work for adaptive security appliances. Don't rely on auto negotiation, okay? Don't do it. Now the router is what's important here and what's interesting and new. The router has these sub-interfaces. Firstly, make sure you do a no-shut on the major interface, but that's about it. Don't do anything fancy on the major interface. Then we say, I want to create a new logical interface on this chassis. This is considered a logical interface. .10. Now that's an arbitrary number. Don't get caught up in that. That doesn't tell the router anything. It's just a container for information. The information is the configuration that is hanging off of that subinterface. What does bind it to a VLAN? Well, why don't you tell me what binds this subinterface to a VLAN? Is it the IP address, the encapsulation command, or the interface command? Again, what binds the subinterface to a VLAN? It is encapsulation. We do encapsulation.1q because there is a choice. ISL is another choice. We wouldn't use that, but it's theoretically possible. And then 10, we encode what this interface is expecting, which is important. So if traffic is received on the interface, if it's received on that interface, it comes in, then we look, what tag do you have for 802.1q? Oh, you're tagged 10. So we are immediately sucked in to this interface logically inside of the chassis. If we choose to route out that interface, we go, okay, I'm going to forward traffic out that interface and send it along its way. Oh, and also, let's make sure we tag it with VLAN 10 as it leaves. So it's doubly important, okay? Now, we have also configured an IP address. This is really important. This is the default gateway IP address. This is the client's default gateway. That's not just some arbitrary IP address that's in the subnet. That is the default gateway IP address. This also binds a new entry inside of the routing table. The new entry is a connected route. The connected route is the routing function that is going to help the router route between these. It's not static routing. It's not dynamic routing. It's connected routing. Then we have another subinterface, the .20. Now, what if we wanted to also route for a VLAN that happened to be the native VLAN? Just so you understand, there is some extra syntax that we could do. And let me type that in for you. Okay? So let's say interface gigabit Ethernet 0/0.99. Now, in this case, we probably aren't trying to route for VLAN 99. But I want you to see some extra syntax here. .1q and then 99. Now, I'm going to leave here for a moment. I want to take you to a router right now. And I mean a router, not a PC. I want you to see some syntax. Just not going to use this. This is not going to be the way that I'm going to route between VLANs. And I'll just hang this config off of this one. I want you to see something important. Encapsulation.1q 99 native. This says, oh, by the way, you are going to get some traffic that is untagged. Remember, that's the native VLAN. It's the untagged VLAN. So you tack that on, and then you would complete it with things like IP address, and I'll just let your imagination take you the rest of the way, because it's just a duplication of this. But if you ever have to build a subinterface for the native VLAN on a router on a stick, you now have some clue as to how to do that. So we've got the configuration here. It's a good textbook example. And I say that because sometimes we have to call out of our arsenal textbook examples and implement them. Now you have that under your belt.